Leafs Talk, JD Bunkis, Sam McKee. Sunday. Boy, do the Leafs just like all weekend now? This is what they do. They just play, football goes away, and the Leafs play every single Sunday now.
Leafs just
No
play every
reward.
night. Leafs just play every night. Leafs just play every night.
This week they're Tuesday, Thursday, back on Saturday. I don't think they're Sunday, but yeah, holy, the schedule does feel heavy to close the year. I don't know what it is. Maybe, you know what it is? Maybe it's just you and I doing all these games. And now it's locked into Tampa, and they're completely meaningless, and they're sitting Mitch Marner, the most fun Maple Leaf to watch. They're sitting Giordano. They're throwing Steves out there and Simmons a bone, and
no Steves. Simmons, Abrazizi. No Steves. It wasn't even Steves.
Can I just tell you something?
Same guy.
If they swap jerseys on Steves and Abrazizi, not a soul.
Not one person. Nick Richard wouldn't even know. Nick Richard wouldn't even know.
Like, look at my son, Steve's out there. It's Abrazizi flying around. They're the exact same guy. I'm completely convinced of it. Okay, so clearly the story of this game is Matt Murray going down, but I want to ask you this before, because I'm just going to start sort of chronologically tonight.
Okay.
Nothing about this matters, right? Like, this is what a loser game this was tonight, okay? The people watching this will try to keep it entertaining, but in terms of, like, if you're pissed off, I don't know what to tell you. Like, the Leafs
take a lap.
Yeah, the Leafs played a back-to-back. They sat a bunch of guys. They sent the bat signal out to be like, we don't care tonight, okay? But it was another game where it was really sloppy out of the gate. And I know the first goal, it happens with a couple of guys on the ice, like Connor Timmins makes a play where you go, okay, you're not going to be in there in the playoffs. But this has been something that's been a bit of a theme lately, right? Is Leafs have been getting off to these really sloppy starts, and it feels like it takes them like 5-6 minutes before they settle into the game. Is this anything to you?
I think if it continues, it could be something. You know, like
it's been happening now for like a couple weeks, I would say.
I think it would be pretty bad to start slowly against the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round of the playoffs. I'd say, like, if it's continuing for 2 more weeks and they go into, 2 weeks today or tomorrow, and they're starting like crap against Tampa in the first game of the playoffs, then it's something. But listen, you mentioned it to me about how they send out the bat signal that they don't care about this game. I don't think any of the guys care out there. Like, I really think, like, this one specifically, second night of a back-to-back, you have Matt Murray in net. We know what happens. They got multiple AHL dudes in there. They got Connor Timmins in there. Like, I think with the lineup that was iced, they were kind of let off the hook in terms of the effort level. No, like, they went full NBA. They went full Charlotte. They went full Charlotte Hornets tonight. So
tonight,
I'm trying. Oh, no, go ahead.
No, tonight it makes sense. I'm just saying that this has now been sort of a pattern that has emerged as of late to me, which is that the first 5 to 6 minutes of a game, the Leafs will sort of come out and they'll be making really bad passes. They'll be doing things like firing pucks in front of their own net, kind of leaving their goaltenders out hanging to dry. And then it feels like the goalies tonight, Matt Murray didn't make those saves, right? He gets burned on a couple of them. The second one was horrific against them. And then Samsonov comes in, gives one up, but that's a little later in the game. But I'm saying this has been happening where they basically hang the goalie out to dry for the first couple minutes. Samsonov's been brilliant recently, making some of those saves. Murray has not so much. And then it feels like 5-6 minutes in, the guys find their legs and go, oh, right, like, we have to still try here. We still have to focus up and not make the same boneheaded mistakes. And I think it will sharpen up come playoff time, right? It just, I have to imagine that there's going to be a little bit more attention to detail from regular season games that are pretty meaningless to the most important playoff series of this core's tenure, which, by the way, we say every single time, but whatever. It's just,
it gets progressively more important. The general manager literally doesn't have a contract. This one is the most important one.
Yeah.
Right? Until next year.
Well, no, until next year, until Matthews is on the final year's deal, whatever. But no, I still kind of, in my heart, the Montreal one still will hurt forever because they just had such an easy path. And they could have beat the Canadian teams and gotten at least the North Division. I'm just saying that one was important, and they had a layup and they blew it. So that one stings. Anyway, back on track.
I'm not doing this tonight.
they've been sloppy to start these games, and I don't know if I need to see it tighten up in the Boston game that's coming up next week, or whether or not. I'm guessing they're going to sit guys in that Tampa game big time. If I had to guess, Tampa on the 11th, you and I are going to miss the Jays home opener to watch a lot of Aberzeezy Steves and Timmins out here because there's just no way. Anyway, it was just a minor note for me, but it seems like it's not really a concern.
No,
So
listen. I think how many games in a row have they done that? Maybe 3 or 4 now. Would that be?
I would say if I had to look at the schedule, they would have been kind of like this now for the last 6 games. Maybe they've been sharp in one of them, but yeah, I would say 5 of the last 6 games.
Dating back to Nashville, maybe.
Yeah, Nashville was the same thing.
Yeah. So listen, I think this goes back to our favorite saying that Babs was right. You got to start on time, and it's really important, especially heading into these bigger games not down the stretch in 2 weeks, that you starting on time. So I don't think it's nothing, but I'm going to give them a break here until the game's starting to get meaningful.
Buddy, how fired up were you, Mr. Load Management, Mr. Terrified of guys playing sports to see Marner out?
Love it. Yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it. You know who else is fired up about it? The Marner boys, because holy hell, they looked lifeless without him tonight, eh?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because this was a weird game, dude. Leafs got so many shots, and the whole time I was watching the game, I'm like, but this doesn't feel like they got goalied tonight. They fired 44 shots at Nedeljkovic?
Yeah, I would say he played pretty well, but I definitely wouldn't say it wasn't like Lyon the other night where he was just making acrobatic saves out of this world. No, I agree. I'd say it was not a full goalie, a borderline goalie tonight.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. It was like, I don't know, maybe I'm a little bit like the Leafs right now too. They threw up the bat signal and I threw up the bat signal with some match energy. But I never felt like, oh boy, wow, what a huge Nedeljkovic save, right? Like, wow, oh man, another one for him. Like, I kept looking at the shots going, really? I was the dad in Arrested Development with her. Like, that was me with the shot count tonight. Like, I couldn't believe it the entire time. The game ended and I went, that's not how I felt watching this game. It felt like kind of a game of shinny. Both teams pretty loose. There were some chippy moments. Bunting kept getting into it with everybody.
So that's the biggest. I think I know we've had this conversation a lot, but outside of Matt Murray, which we're burying the lead big time, we can get to Bunting here. I just don't know what to say anymore, because I thought he did dive when he got cross-checked in the back. He launched himself onto the ice. I thought he dove.
I'll call that one an embellishment. Let's say
it was an embellishment. It was an embellishment. The ref called an embellishment, and listen, I don't even really know what to say. Like, he's been doing this for 2 full years now in Toronto. He got away with it a lot more last year. The league obviously isolated him. It's tightened up big time in terms of what he can get away with. Like, they were talking about it in the intermission, and Elliot brought up a good point. Like, they have to be somewhat worried about this in the playoffs, where you're going against a team that's going to be in your grill at all times, and how he acts. Like, I love the intensity and I love the give a crap meter on him. I really do. But he's taken the second most penalties in the league this year. I think he's taken 38 or 39 minor penalties. Like, it's just too much.
How wild is that, eh? Considering last year where it was just he drew the most on the team, and now it's just like he's the biggest liability when it comes to them.
So it's just like, I understand how Keefe feels about him. Like, there's probably a lot of situations where he's like, he wants to have him out there because he's a good offensive player. Like you said last night, he's one of their top 6 guys. But there's a reason he's playing less, and one of them is because he's probably terrified that he's going to take a Dumbo penalty at the wrong time of the game that costs him big time. So I don't really know where I stand on this debate, because, like, listen, it probably didn't need to be called an embellishment tonight. That there's no question that was a big time reputation call. Like, that play happens every night across the league, and that it doesn't get called an embellishment. I just don't know where I stand in it. Where are you?
Okay, so I think this is just your classic. There's shades of gray with all of this.
Yeah.
You mentioned it. Bunting is clearly an effective hockey player. He is like back-to-back 20-goal seasons. I don't care who you play with. That's a stat that just don't lie, right?
Yeah.
He clearly is unafraid, and he will go to dirty areas, which I find to be highly respectable, even in the modern game where obviously you don't pay the same price the way that you used to. He'll stick up for a teammate. He'll get under somebody's skin. But what I think makes him a little different from other guys like him, the rats, and I say that as in a complimentary way, right?
Endearing. Yes.
Yeah. An endearing rat is that a lot of the rats traditionally, like, they don't let guys get under their skin too the same way. Like, they're out there to be a pest. and get under somebody's skin and take you off your game and make you take a bad penalty. And it feels like when he's engaging in these acts, he's just as likely to get in his feelings about it and take the penalty. And so I think that's what is frustrating about him, is that he'll bite you. He'll bite you with some of these things. They're never, it's like he's being too frisky and he hits somebody too hard from behind, or he throws an elbow up or a cross check up. It's like he takes those penalties, he's diving around a lot of times, which is beyond infuriating. And so he'll take some Dumbo ones where it'll just be like a little stick call and you go, man, what are you doing? Because he'll kind of get emotional. So I think that's what it is. Like, that's the fear for them, is when that ramps up in the playoffs and you're playing a team like Tampa that's going to have a ton of guys who are going to know, hey, if we just try to beat this guy around a little bit and try to play his game, he's likely to take a dumb one. We have to avoid taking the dumb one. Like, yeah, I think that's what you're saying is, like, I feel the apprehension if you're a coach, knowing that in a game 5 or a game 6, it gets late and somebody's just been, Tanner Jeannot has been leaning on him all night. And then all of a sudden he gets mad and he puts one across his ankles. And then Stamkos, out 10 seconds later, he's out there standing in his spot with a little stick up. Yeah, like, you can see it. Yeah, of course you can see it.
Well, it happens at every level of hockey, but like even in beer league, we're like, 21, get under his skin. He'll do something dumb tonight. Like, get him going. Like, it's just, he's a guy that you go after.
Wild card.
He's wild card.
Charlie Kelly. He's Charlie Kelly.
Really
Wild card.
Buddy, that's so targeted because I've been rewatching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's on Disney Plus. And that is, I just forgot how goddamn good that show is. And I just watched the wild card episode and it's so good. Anyways, don't want to get sidetracked, but God, what a show. So just to finish up on Bunting, like if he can find that line, then he's an incredibly effective, important player for the Leafs, but he hasn't found it all year, bud. So I hope that once it happens, once the playoffs slip on, that he does find it, but I have a hard time believing he's going to find it. That's the reason to me where this seems like it maybe is a bit of a frayed relationship where the coach doesn't trust him because of this. Like, this is a big reason why. Like, he does have his sleepy. Yeah. Pardon?
I think that's
the biggest reason.
No, I just think that's irrefutable at this point. That there's something between him and Keefe where they're just at odds. Like, whatever Keefe wants from him, which is probably some of what we're talking about today. And I get Bunting because he's like, man, I said this on the last show, but he has been a contributor now for 2 straight seasons. He's done everything that they've kind of asked him to do. He's definitely exceeded his contract to just an insane amount.
Oh my God, the value they've gotten on this.
But he's probably looking at this going like, man, how am I the guy that you're trying to make an example of when Alex Kerfoot's out here and he can't literally bury like a pass right on his tape, tap in the net? Like, you love that guy, but you hate me. I don't understand. And wasn't it like, oh, you're worried about me taking the penalty last year? What happened when your golden boy was down the ice and Victor Hedman was collecting a puck and he fired his stick up into the Giants' lid and cost us the series? Like, I can see it from both perspectives, man. I really can. And so whatever. I don't think it's going to have I hope that both of those guys can just see it's fine. Like, it's mostly fine. Bunting is just mostly like a really good player who's giving you a really good return on the value. And that with a player like that, it comes with a risk. And I don't think that there's going to be any really teaching Bunting that he can not let guys get under his skin, because I think that he is he's the Charlie Kelly. He is the wild card. Okay. So what was your fear level when you saw Ilya Samsonov come into that game cold? And then a few moments later, he makes kind of like a big save and the camera pans to him and he's kind of hunched over.
So can I say that, like, I love Samsonov, but he does feel like he has a bit of faker in him. Like, once in a while over this season where I've been like panicking that he's hurt, he'll like do like the little thing where he kind of like favors or he like gets up slow or like, listen, I've played hockey a long time. I've played hockey with guys that do this. It's just like to pretend like they just milk it up a little bit. And he makes a big save.
I would say milk is more the way that he
to me, he milks it here and there.
Yeah,
and
for
all
wearing the right sweater, like,
and for all of Leafs Nation, not the time, buddy. Not the time to be milking. Like, he made an unbelievable save off the post and it was fluttering back. Like, that is I don't know if it's a save of the year candidate, but that makes top 10 save of the year sort of range. Like, it's an amazing save that he made. But like, Yeah, I don't need to see him kind of getting up slow at all. Like this is on a knife's edge here. Like we are now a tweak away from Joe Wall in playoff games. So I actually thought he played pretty well once he came in. Like the ones that
Played
beat
great.
him,
He's
the
in the
ones that
zone.
beat him. Yeah, man. He's like to come off the bench and look like that after just not expecting to play, sitting there, thinking about Miroslav and come in and play like that. I was impressed, man. I really was.
Yeah. No, I thought he had a really good night. Thought he was definitely, I don't know, you probably make a case he was the best Leaf since he came in and actually just stabilized the game and gave them a chance to be in it. Like game was 3-2. It was right there for them to just take. It was right there. And they
the
weren't
one that made it 4-2 was such a weird bouncy break that just ended up in the back of the net. It was like,
and you know what? When it happened, I was like, oh yeah, this is just that kind of night. This is just that kind of night where that's going to happen for them. But yeah, he kept them in it for a really long time. I thought he was solid. I was a little spooked when he did come in. I will say that I am a big proponent of just play the guy on his normal schedule. He's in the zone. Like, don't overthink this and start over resting him heading into the playoffs. I know that you're going to be even more afraid if Matt Murray's hurt, but that the Matt Murray injury changes nothing. Like Matt Murray's been bad, and tonight he was capital H horrific. Like that second goal that Matt Murray let in tonight was like that gave me Kasimir Kaskasuo flashbacks. Like I went, oh, Kasimir's back in the net. Like when's the last? That's supposed to be his thing, is he doesn't let the play break down. But you did see it tonight where I've been hammering this home lately ever since I talked to Kevin Woodley about it. One guy can make saves when the play breaks down, and one guy cannot do it. And Matt Murray again tonight, it's like plays breaks down, pucks in the back of your net. It just, the goaltending debate is obviously completely done and over with. It's gone beyond that now though with me, with the way Murray's played and now another injury where you go, I used to think if they lost like 2 games that Murray would get the net, right? Or some now I'm like, I think this is actually exactly like Jack Campbell the year Freddie Anderson was coming back from the injury with Montreal, where he went, nope. Actually turns out nothing's getting you in this net outside of a deep playoff run or maybe an injury. I think this is Samsonov's net for all 7 now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a world where you don't really have to squint that hard to say where you're more comfortable with Joe Wall in net than you are with Matt Murray. I don't think you'd have to squint too hard to feel that way. Do you agree or no?
Here's the thing. I know it sounds so dumb to say that, right?
Yeah, I know.
Like the words came out of your mouth and I went like, I'm afraid to joke, but that's how I feel too. Okay.
Yes. It's how everyone feels. Let's get it out there, Leafs Nation. It's how we feel.
My truth is that I don't think Joe Wall is worse than Matt Murray. I just want to speak my truth. And I don't care if it makes me a dumb old Leaf fan. And I know somebody's freaking out right now when they're going like, where's Joe Wall's Stanley Cup rings? I'm just telling you that in the year of our Lord, 2023, if you told me like, hey, one of those 2 guys is in net for the Leafs come playoffs, I would say like, let me just have the unknown of the kid, like let me just see let
me dream on it.
Fluke freak story rather than Matt Murray at this point. I'm just like, that's where I'm at with it. Anyways.
Quickly before we move off the goalies, I just got this text sent to me or this tweet sent to me. Now it's been deleted. So I don't know if I want to read it. No,
just let's rapid fire the sucker. Let's get the sucker closed up.
Oh, such a good story, but I can't read it now.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just rapid fire this one. Okay. Right. So rapid fire to close this game. Nice one, Morgan Riley. Way to get the puck on the net. That's all we've ever asked from you. And you did it. And guess what? Good things happened. Yarncroc, another goal where he's just kind of hunting around, but beauty pass by Connor Timmins. Like that's what he does well, right? In that power play, like just snapping it around, sees the right guy, makes it happen. And then lastly, I know that there was not a bunch of great players on the ice, but picking David Camp to take a penalty shot, I went, they said the stat was 0 for 6, and I went, and 0 for 7. Like, very confusing decision. Let me see Sam Lafferty take that. Like, anybody, but give me one of the defensemen over.
Who else was out there? Like, was it the ice guys? Like, was it the ice guys with shovels? Like, who else was out there?
But I did think, I was like, if it's me, I want to give that to Lafferty, but I guess they went seniority on it and decided to give it to the guy that's been a Leaf. But yeah, I don't know. But David
was out on defense?
I didn't know who was out on D.
Anyone but him.
But yeah, the move was not exactly spectacular. Any rapid fires for you?
No, I wish so badly that tweet that I had was real, but someone got duped. I'll tell you after we talk. But no, please God, get me to the playoffs. We got Columbus. We got Columbus on Tuesday night. I guess you get to see Joe Wall on Tuesday night. I would imagine that's a locked and loaded Joe Wall start. And then Boston on Thursday. So I'll be interested to see how they handle the goaltending. I guess Samsonov for sure gets the road start in Boston. They were talking about the goaltending and getting him on a roll on the road. So I guess he gets that one. But I don't know. How do you feel about that going to Boston?
Don't care. Just want to see Samsonov in net for that one. We'll deal with that one as it comes. All right.
All right.
Yeah. For Leafs Talk, subscribe, leave 5 stars, hit the like button on YouTube. For JD Bunkis, Sam McKee, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at JD Bunkis, at Sam A. McKee. We will see you Tuesday night after a thrilling event against the Columbus Blue Jackets with the truth. Joe Wall, probably in net. See ya. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.